Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, remembering the legacy of the late Gerry Connolly, who passed away Wednesday morning. And the White House is reviewing the nation's biometrics operation. It's Tuesday, May 21st, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. Gerry Connolly, the longtime Virginia Democratic congressman responsible for some of the most influential federal IT reform legislation of the past 2 decades, died Wednesday after a battle with cancer. He was 75. Connolly's family shared in a public message that the Northern Virginia congressman passed away peacefully at his home, surrounded by family. They shared that, quote, "Gerry lived his life to give back to others and make our community better. He looked out for the disadvantaged and voiceless. He always stood up for what is right and just. He was a skilled statesman on the international stage, an accomplished legislator in Congress, a visionary executive on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, a fierce defender of democracy, an environmental champion, and a mentor to so many. But more important than his accomplishments in elected office, Gerry lived by the ethos, they said, of bloom where you are planted." While Connolly served on a variety of committees during his 16-year career in the House of Representatives, including an assignment on the Committee on Foreign Relations that spanned the entirety of his service, he was most known in the federal technology community for his leadership on the Oversight and Reform Committee, during which he made agency accountability for modernization and cybersecurity a staple issue. On that committee, for which he was most recently the ranking member, he worked closely with his counterparts across the aisle to pass technology modernization legislation that has been paramount to bettering the business of government technology. In 2014, he worked with Representative Darrell Issa of California, then chair of the Oversight Committee, to pass the Federal Information Technology Acquisition Reform Act, better known as FITARA. Nearly 11 years later, FITARA remains the foundational statute for Chief Information Officer authorities in the federal government. And since its passage, Connolly made it a top priority on the committee to hold agencies accountable to compliance with the law through biannual FITARA scorecard hearings and meetings. Later, Connolly worked with Representative Will Hurd of Texas to pass the Modernizing Government Technology Act, which President Donald Trump signed into law in late 2017 as part of the 2018 National Defense Authorization Act. Notably, that legislation birthed the Technology Modernization Fund, which has since become a staple for alternative funding of federal modernization projects. In other news, a White House group helmed by National Security Advisor Stephen Miller and other Homeland Security-focused leaders has taken up a new focus, evaluating the federal government's powerful biometrics program. The Homeland Security Council is now working with federal agencies and departments to review all biometrics programs to ensure they perform as efficiently and effectively as possible, according to Abigail Jackson, a spokesperson for the White House. She told FedScoop that, quote, "The safety and security of the American people is the president's highest priority. Biometric screening and vetting programs are a vital part of the administration's efforts to protect U.S. citizens." The review comes amid recent FedScoop reporting that the Department of Government Efficiency has extended its operations to the Office of Biometric Identity Management, a small but influential office within DHS that helps oversee one of the world's largest biometric databases. Sources told FedScoop that DOGE has become involved in evaluating the future of the Homeland Advanced Recognition Technology, or HART program, a cloud-based biometrics database that was supposed to replace the Automated Biometric Identification System, or IDENT, which is now decades old. There has also been significant upheaval at the OBIM office. Staff were recently instructed to share conference rooms and workspaces, and at one point were asked to bring their own chairs to the office, though that particular request was later rescinded. A former senior official who served at DHS said there were certainly opportunities for efficiency in the government's biometric systems, but that there are other equally important factors to consider in reforming them. These systems, the person emphasized, process some of the U.S. government's most sensitive data. The systems also have zero tolerance for downtime or errors that could interrupt airport operations or important investigations. The former official said they hoped the council considered the whole picture when making their decision. A spokesperson for CBP told FedScoop that the agency cannot comment on White House Homeland Security Council decisions before they are finalized and announced by the council itself. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the